All right, well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Revisto Plus Global Release presentation. We are very excited to share with you today what we've been working on. Please note this presentation is being recorded. After the presentation, a recording will be sent out to the email that you used to register for today's presentation. During the presentation, please send any questions along with your email in the chat, and we will address them individually after the presentation. If you're unable to send a message in the chat, you can also email j.cox@revisto.com to get them added, and we will respond once the presentation closes. I've also added that information into the chat box. Another thing is, if you see something you like today, we'd love for you to share it. So please take a screenshot and share it on LinkedIn, and make sure you tag Revisto and use hashtag Clash Automation. We will select 3 people today to receive a custom swag package. You can trust me on that. You will like it. I picked it out myself. But without any further ado, let's get started. It is my pleasure to introduce our CEO, Armin. Armin, it's all yours. Take it away.
And Brett Settles.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Our head of global success, customer success. Thanks, Jemison, for the intro. And hey guys, very excited actually today. And what are we gonna be sharing with you all? It's already out there since last Thursday for all our current clients, but we wanted to make a keynote speech here and talk about what we were up to for a while. And because of the COVID, we were doing it virtually, but we should have been with Brett on our first user conference that we wanted to organize in October in these days in Chicago. But that's that's live, what you can do. So we're going to be doing it virtual, and hopefully you'll get as much emotions as if you would do it in a real life. So we'll make sure that we work it hard for that, right, Brett?
Absolutely.
So let's get started. So before the start, what I would like to do is, I prepared some timeline of the innovations that we've been doing since the beginning. As you know, we are, and I founded a company in 2008 and with the team, and the first innovation we brought into life, it was 2010, and the overall idea was, what do we do, and how can we simplify and make it clear the communication in the AECO industry. And the overall idea was bringing a gaming technology into this world, making your data more interactive overall. So that was like the first idea of bringing that gaming technology and interactive technology into life. So that was 2010 that we brought up. And next milestone that we had, and let's see, how do we change throughout these, last 11 years at least. It was 2013 when we brought the issue tracking system, and the reason is when we first brought the interactivity to the AECO industry, and the first plugins we did and the data that we were consuming and bringing into our environment was the Revit and SketchUp, because back that time these were like the main 3D authoring tools out there that was used most, I would say, in this industry at least. And when we brought that up, and we understood that seeing interactively is not enough. What do we do next? We do next when we find in that mode an issue or something that we have to fix it. There should be a way to communicate, create an issue, assign the issue, so on and so forth. So in our development world, we were always using Jira as the issue tracking component for doing our development. So we said, why don't we create basically an AECO industry Jira, create a tailor-made issue tracking that would combine 3D and 2D all together into it. And we brought the first version of our issue tracking in 2013. So making it more interactive and assigning the issues, so on and so forth. The next was combining the 2D and 3D with issue trackers. So because a lot of companies back that time, at least now until today, that's the case, but at that time it was especially the case. A lot of companies were using 2D, and we were saying, okay, let's combine them. Let's bring the 2D 3D data, combine them, do the intelligent overlays of the sheets, and having the issue tracker on top of it. So that was the 2015, deepening our kind of collaboration platform through those steps. And then from 2015 to 17, what we started to do is to integrate more and more data, more and more formats. Not only we've started to increase the plugin varieties and different authoring tools in the industry, but also we said, we have to bring all kinds of data into Revisto platform. And the big thing was the photogeometry and point cloud data that we brought in 2017, where you literally could, and until today is the case, bring really heavy point cloud data into your mobile devices such as iPads, and without any streaming and stuff, have it all and super fast format. So that was the next kind of step of the innovation we did to increase and enlarge the platform ability. 2018, we started to move to the field more and more, and we brought our intelligence stamps that with predefined workflows that you could have done, and I think you guys all know about that. So that was kind of getting into a field area and connecting the office to the field with all the data, all this data throughout the stamps and stamp issues and workflows. Next, 2019, we kind of added more when we said, okay, it's great, we have all these data in our software, all these authoring tools are bringing the data into Revisto, but what about the more PM things? So how do we make it available, your CD and PM data that you have, making available in Revisto, so to avoid double entry of the same data into two platforms and different platforms. So that was a big thing also in 2019 when we brought our integrations with the documents, and the first integrations we did, it was BIM 360, Box, and Procore. And we have a lot of plans to enlarge it more and more. So, and then after 2019, we said, okay, what do we we would like to make our platform totally innovative in a sense of bringing the data out. So kind of doing the coordination collaboration based on your project data. So that was the Revisto 5 when we brought exactly a year ago. I mean, not even a year ago, it was December, so 9 months ago. And when we were working throughout a couple of years on Revisto 5, we were already setting the path. Where are we going to go next? What is the purpose of doing this, the Revisto 5, the data-based platform? And obviously we've planned and we've released Revisto 5 in a way that the next step would be adding the clash automation on top of it. And that's basically where we are at today, 9 months later, and Revisto Plus, which comes with Revisto clash automation. Before moving to the actual points of Revisto Plus and clash automation, one thing I want to kind of recap here is where we are at, who we are, is because a lot of times people are thinking, okay, does Revisto want to do everything? No, we want to do everything what concerns to coordination and collaboration. Not getting into PM software, we're not getting into authoring software, but what we do is we're combining and as you can see today, the authoring tools, they have already set some standards in each vertical, right? And that's why so many tools out there for specializing on certain parts of our eco industry. And then we have our PMs and CD software that is concentrated on that site. But what we do in Revisto is we're combining this all into a one single integrated collaboration platform, which is the aim of not to be dependent on any authoring or PM software that we have to force you to be in. You have a freedom to choose anything you would like, any platform that you're utilizing from left to right. But bring that all data and combine that all data into one platform that you can coordinate and collaborate within one sphere and place. And the aim of Revisto is to set the standard of coordination and collaboration. That's where what we're doing with each of our release. And if you look at the timeline that I just showed, literally from the beginning until today, the overall idea of bringing that gaming and interactive technology is to set the standard of coordination, because as of today, there is no standard there. People are, working drastically different when it comes to the coordination and collaboration, from emails, from different plugins, different softwares, to physical markups on a paper drawing. So that's what we're doing, is changing that part and setting our standard that you would basically use in the most efficient way. So that being said, I want to talk with Brad and show you all what is this is Revista Plus that comes with a Clash automation. So I want to give the floor to Brad. So Brad would go through the main points and then do the live demo, which is going to be the most important and interesting part of the demonstration. So thank you, and Brad, the floor is yours.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for being with us today. I mean, this is extremely exciting for us. I think Armin can attest to how one of our main difficulties was keeping us all from telling you about it before we released it. But today is the day where we actually get to talk about it, talk about our ideas, and actually show the product. And as Jameson said, you're free to share any of this. In fact, we'd like you to. So if there's anything that you want to point out on those social media platforms or to your coworkers, we can absolutely do that. So let's talk about Clash automation first. The workflow, right? So today you're going to see a lot of technical tools. But I want everyone to understand that one of the main reasons that we decided to tackle this in a new and innovative way is because many of our clients were telling us, we love Revista, we love what it can do for us in the field, we love the communication aspect, but this model management practice just needs to go. We're willing to do it because it provides us enough value on the back end, but we really think that you can make this better for us. And that's exactly what we did. We connected the models directly to the coordination process, directly to the PM process. And we're going to talk a little bit about point A to B today, and I'll reference that in the live demo as well. The second priority was the tedious desk labor. I've been basically involved with VDC in some way, shape, or form for the majority of my career. There are many important decisions that VDC people make and important information that they have to share with the team that can be extremely valuable. However, they often are a bottleneck. They can't get the information out in time. They have a hard time communicating these highly technological things to the people that are really building the building and making those decisions on the building. So we want to make those people, we want to make their input as valuable as it's ever been, but also free up their time to use their skills in different ways. So when we decided to tackle this, I mean, how did we tackle it as a team? And, not to pull back the curtain on ourselves a little bit, but when I joined, we really had this process of information through one pipe, someone receives it, does something with it, and then it goes back through the pipe. And I'm talking more about the industry professionals and the developers. What we decided to do with this development is literally merge the industry professionals with the developers. We met for probably hundreds of hours and had very, very macro type conversations about coordination and had very, very detailed, minute discussions about what certain buttons do. So when we go through this workflow, there's not going to be a whole lot of gaps in functionality. And I think that that was one of the main things that we were trying to do as well. And this is something that I've got to give a lot of appreciation and props to everyone on my team. I've been a VDC professional my whole life. I know what it's like to be one, but I haven't been one in commercial construction. I haven't been an architectural BIM manager. There are many roles that my team played in this development to where we can make a tool that solves the needs of the A, the E, the C, and the O. And without those industry professionals and the developers that actually took our ideas and turned them into something, none of this would have been possible. So what the results are, as you'll see today, is a product that really tackles the workflow from A to B. And I'll point out where A is, and I'll point out where B is. And what we want you to do is to be able to standardize your coordination, as Armin pointed out, but not have, even if you have a standard for coordination, that consists of 10, 12 different tools. I'm going to unplug my camera real quick. All right, sorry about that. Unplug the camera real quick. It seemed to be glitching out on me, but we'll continue. We're about ready into the demo anyway. And so we wanted to make sure you could get the job done right without spending thousands of dollars on add-ons and different things like that that just simply don't communicate with the team. And as you'll see in the demo, the product focuses on both what we look at coordination from a project and a company objective to what these individuals face day to day at their desk. So here's a really good point that we like to bring up. What about the enormous amount of time that staff spends doing tedious administrative type tasks when they could be focusing on getting value into the project? So what we did with this, and I think one of the most unique things that you'll see about the demo today, is that we really walk through the clash detection process and realize that every option that any user ever clicks could really be put to the front end of that process, saving them an enormous amount of what I like to call hurry up and wait scenarios. So that is something that I want to point out today as well. And this is also going to prevent a lot of picks and clicks. In addition to that, everything is cloud-based and collaborative. So this idea of NWCs, NWDs, driving that handoff is something that we're going to be educating the industry about, as to where now your authoring tools have a direct relationship with your coordination tool, and everything is dispersed to everyone on the team at all times. Resolving a lot of those problems are of like situations of, hey, do you have the latest model? Oh, no, I don't. That's why I wasted an hour and a half of each other's time. We want to get rid of those problems as well. So another thing, and I'm not even going to be able to get to even close to all of these today. You may see some of them in action. We have also compiled a list of over 150 quality of life improvements from feedback of our clients and have worked them into this build simultaneously while we did clash detection. So what benefits are we looking at from deploying this new system? The first and biggest point is that simplified model management. The direct relationship between the authoring tool and the coordination platform. Automating the desk labor out of clashing and tracking and reporting. The one thing I'll point out today is that point B really ties into everything that we've always done well. Centralized and repeatable coordination processes. I can't tell you how quickly my teams were able to get the job done when we knew exactly what we were dealing with. And number 4 is very important, context around clash detection and coordination, with the ability to pull in 2D drawings, the ability to pull in reality capture. And these are heavily weighted towards communicating to people that cannot use these tools day to day, like many of us in this room can. And then collaboration among coordinators with safeguards to prevent rework. If you're on a really tight schedule and you're deploying a team of 10 coordinators, the one thing you don't want them doing is coordinating the same areas, the same systems, and then realizing 3 days, 4 days later that they've been doing the same thing that the other person is being doing. This system allows us to work on the cloud collaboratively and also prevent the destruction of each other's work.
And now let's get to the live demo.
All right, so as soon as I can find my Zoom, everyone should be looking at the application. Armin, what's it look like on your end?
All good, man. Let's get started.
All right, so we talked a lot about point A to point B. And I want to really point out what this means. If you are a user of Revisto 5 version 5, you will know that you can import the models. Everything comes in through the object tree, and eventually we can get to the point where search sets are created. These search sets are point A in this demonstration. Everything that we need can be done here, including creating all the search sets we need for Clash, creating exclusion sets to reduce the amount of false positives, and being able to organize these in a way that we know exactly what search sets are there for Clash and exactly what search sets are there for other reasons, such as item counts or navigation or just being able to find a certain asset in a building. So all of this in search sets is a very key point in Clash detection. And to be completely honest, will be one of the main aspects that me and the implementation managers talk about with the clients first, is what do your search sets look like? What are you aiming to do with this data? Now, once we get done with that, that's where we dive into this Clash automation tool. And we have tried to simplify this as much as we can by leaving as much as control as possible. And this was one of the difficulties, but in here, what you're going to see is that I think that we accomplished it quite well. And I apologize for clearing my throat. My kids brought home a little bit of a cough here, so do apologize for that. But when we look in the Clash automation dialog, we are going to see multiple tests here. We are going to see what users are working on those and which ones I need to stay away from. We can see if the Clash has been run, if there have been issues sent, or if they are waiting. The physical number of clashes, how many groups we automatically reduce it down to, resolutions, clash counts, who created it. All of these different items are here for us to see. Now, if I click on any of these tests, I can actually see all of the criteria that created the test. And when we create the test, you're going to see why all of this is a huge time saver for the way that we coordinate projects. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and create a Clash test with our Clash automation. So first off, I'm going to go ahead and start to create a new Clash test. This right here is where all of the criteria for the test is put forth. So I'm going to keep it simple, and I'm going to say we're going to take the ductwork search set, and we're going to take that against the structural framing. Now we're going to go ahead and give it a name, duct versus STR. Now down here, you can see that we've done some other work with some of these search sets that I'm choosing, and it's warning me that duplicated clashes could potentially appear. We're going to go ahead and ignore this, but this is really for your information as you begin to use the tool. This is a demo project, so I think this test has been done before. Now, when I go ahead and continue, you'll notice over on the left, that test is created, and now I can begin to choose what type of metadata I want to be attached to each individual clash. I can do that by choosing the default, or I can even import from another test. So if I want the same metadata from the mechanical and hydronic test for this test, I can choose that and even choose issue automation. Once I go ahead and import and continue, I can choose the clashing type. This is where we can say, do we want to make sure that these objects are actually touching? Are we looking for a clearance? Each type with a preview of exactly how this works. Here we can do a clearance in a horizontal and vertical sense, which allows us to provide clearances and stuff for things that need a bigger horizontal clearance than they need a vertical clearance. The ability to choose those distances. So in this case, I'm going to go with a hard collision, and we can also choose elements or geometries. Think of elements as intelligent BIM assets. So these are your Revit families, your CAD groups, your Tekla part files. All of that would be considered an element, and the geometry is the geometry inside of the element. We can choose to ignore clashes, duplicates, and as we move through here, you're going to start to see how much criteria we're actually setting up. In this case, I'm going to say, you know, I want the room and I want everything to be grouped on what that system classification is. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that in there, and I'm going to move this up to below room, and we're going to take proximity down to the bottom. You can see it's very easy, drag and drop, right? And what has happened as I'm dragging and dropping? Our class group name is automatically being filled out. Our class name is automatically being filled out here. Everything that we want is being done automatically for us. Here we can even set a proximity. We have regular chain proximity, set up a distance of that proximity. Proximity is going to be a huge advantage to this grouping tool to avoid things like, instead of items being edited, their GUIDs changing and making sure that those get into the same class groups that the people receiving them have gotten before. It's an effort to reduce confusion, not only make the lives of VDC people easier. Once I get done with this, I move on to issue automation. Now in issue automation, this is something that we're going to be talking about. What we hope is that everyone gets to the point where they get to automate everything from the time assert sets are set up to the way issues are created. Now, because the way the industry works, we feel like contractors will take a little bit longer to get to this simply because they work with various, inputs, right? Different architects, different engineers, every project, there's different people winning those projects. But for designers and engineers, you are in control of the way that you create things, which means you are in control of your search sets, your standardization. And we really feel like design and engineering firms are going to be able to almost completely automate clash detection and work it into their services, or just use it to better their final product and make it more constructible. Now, before we move on, you'll notice that I can come in here and set a specific stamp that automatically sets up all the assignees, the deadlines, the priorities, the tags, and I can change these on this project as well. I've noticed Mark's over here checking in and checking out stuff, so I'm gonna let him be the recipient of all these. So when I say finish, you're gonna notice that nothing happens. That's because we got to talk about the 3 action buttons around automation. Now here on the settings, you can see every single piece of criteria. Another very important thing is that we allow you to change views, screenshots, and all of that on the fly. So if I want to come in here and make sure that we're zoomed in real tight on here, I can choose my colors for my different clashing items, including my ability to see clashes that have been resolved inside of a group. I can change what appearance profiler I'm using, how many clash colors I'm indicating, the transparency of my items, the ability to isolate those or show all, apply a section box, set the default section box size, the ability to show grids. All of this is in here and is set up to make your lives easier. Here you can see for changed clashes. Nothing's worse than sending a clash out to somebody, regrouping it, sending it again, and then being very confused as to why their issue has been changed. This prevents that. It says anything communicated needs to be solved, and anything that hasn't been communicated yet still has the ability to be manipulated. Now, if you don't like that idea, we have the way to make sure it updates all the time or never updates. But we really like this ability to bring the workflow more automated and communicative. So once I set all this up, now it's time to actually see some results. Now, before I push the results, I'm going to explain these 3 buttons up here. This button here runs the clash detection. It provides results, but does not create issues, and gives the collaborators and coordinators the ability to vet those results before they create issues. This button here sends any reviewed results to the issue tracker. And this button will allow you to automate everything at once, given that your search sets and your criteria are set up in a way that reduces false positives to almost a 0 value. So let's look at the performance of this. We've got our criteria set up. I'm editing this new clash test. I'm going to say go. 1,220 clashes, reduced to 311 groups in one test, and I didn't get a chance to hit my stopwatch, so I have no idea how long that took. But I don't think it took very long.
2.5
So,
seconds.
Did you time it, Armin?
Yeah.
So yes, I was too busy thinking about what I was going to say next to actually hit the button. So in here now you will see 1,220 hits, 300 groups. 0 of those groups have been resolved. Let's take a look at those results. When I look at the results, I get my white appearance profile. Now this is my preference. It doesn't have to be like this. We can go to a model design appearance profile. We can choose a model construction appearance profile. Personally, we like the white. We think it pops whenever you start filtering and looking at results. I'll give you a really good example, a really good, powerful example of what we can do here. I'm going to go ahead and switch to a top-down view, right? There's one of them quality of life improvements that we were talking about. So I showed one. There are 149 of them that I'm probably not going to get to, but there's one of them. So in here now, let's say I really need to see all the clashes on level 6. I can enact that filter there, choose this, and this should bring me directly to my clashes. I know what I did wrong. So let's go ahead. I'm going to put this in that top-down view. Forgot to lock my camera and my section box here. So let's go ahead, choose level 6. I'm going to go back out to a top-down view, and now we're going to actually see all those clashes on level 6 right there. If we lock the section box, we can begin to toggle through these clashes and actually see where they're positioned in that top-down view. We can choose all of them and see exactly where all of those clashes are. Now, what's really important about this is that this is what allows us to do that macro viewing, right? Where we can see everything from that high level down on level 6. So in here, now if I go to individual ones, this is what allows me to see those individual clashes. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I'm isolating those and taking a look at those individually. So there we can see how the classes are showing up, and we can even go back in and apply a section box, quickly showing us where those clashes are. So this is one thing to keep in mind as we're reviewing these clashes, is that there's multiple ways to view them. Now, the one thing that you'll notice is that with these filters, we have very, very powerful ways to retrieve this information. Another one I like to use is room. If we want to find clashes that have to do with this specific room, I can even search for that room, select all of a certain type, and then immediately see where those clashes in those parents' rooms are by simply filtering the data. So those metadata aspects of the software are extremely important, not only from a criteria set, but from a way that you can retrieve them out of larger pieces of information. Now let's get into what the coordinators are going to be doing here. Now, as we look at all of these results, those coordinators are going to be looking at individual results and determining if those results are in fact issues or not. So in this situation, we can look at this result here and we can absolutely say that this is an issue. Set that to reviewed. We can then say, this is an issue as well. We can mass review these as we look through these and say, yep, all of these are issues as well. It also allows us to approve clashes that may not be actual issues that we've resolved in the field. And more importantly, it allows the coordinators to communicate what they finished, but not have to finish everything at all. And so this is where in the daily life of a coordinator, they may be sitting here reviewing clashes, they get tapped on the shoulder, they have to get pulled off to something else. And they really want to communicate all of this, but they're being pulled away. Instead of remaining that bottleneck in all of this information, they can simply come up here and synchronize what they've reviewed to the issue tracker. Whenever they synchronize this, anything that's been reviewed by a coordinator and determined to be an issue is automatically going to be sent to the issue tracker. So once it relinquishes my test here, I'll get back in. And what we can see is that now those issues, let's go ahead and check this out. If I scroll over, oh, let me see real quick. Let's go to status. That's what I should have done to begin with. All of these filters at the top are completely, you can filter for them. There you can see the reviewed issues that we have. They have an identifier. You can tell that they've been issues, and we're not going to regroup anything that has been communicated to the team. Everything else that hasn't been reviewed is up for a regrouping. So if I go in here and actually change the way that I want to group these issues, let's say that, you know, this isn't working for us. I just want to level a room and a proximity. I can say, okay, regroup that. We're going to see everything change except for what we've already communicated. This way we can change our processes on the fly if needed. I'm not saying that this is the best way to do a project, but it does happen. And I think everyone in the room understands that this does happen. Now, as we go through and relinquish this test, we're going to see no new clashes were found, but now we have a complete different regrouping of the way that the clashes are put together. As you can see here, now we're doing it by simply level and room, but everything that we had already communicated is still there. Now, I think the most important thing is, what was point B this whole time? Well, of course, point B were the issues that the individuals that have to solve these issues are getting. And I think that this is very important in that we can see now that all of this automation and clash testing ends up connecting to what we're already good at. 1,000 issues, right? Well, I'm just working on fire protection clashes. I can reduce that down to 13. I can see the screenshot. I can see the grids. I can see the 3D part of this. I can change my appearance profiles as needed based on what I want to see. So there we can go model design, model construction, or we can go all the way back to the white appearance profiler. We can also see exactly where this clash is in 2D. You'll notice that the stamps have been updated to show that this is a clash represented by the diamond shape, but we've incorporated all of our stamp aspects to it. Everything that goes into here can be reported on, just like it always has in Revisto, including all of the advancements that we've made to reporting that went live soon. As you can see over on the right, Mark Zazeski is already collaborating on this clash detection issue. And here is all of my project information right here. So we want to add a new chart based on any of those clash tests. That's where we can come in here and begin to work on clash test reporting and completely automating that. Here we can see all of the various clash tests that we're working with. Here are all the settings for the colors that are represented. Everything here has been new and improved to assist in this new functionality that you're getting on that report side as well. So here we can say ascending by value, and we can say who are the assignees, or more importantly, what are the statuses? What are the priorities? All of this is included in here. So it was not only the technical tools that I feel like were really valuable to this process, it was the way that it connected to our issue tracker, our reporting, the way that we import models. All of this now is the way that we can standardize on coordination. And I think the most important part is that everything that you've seen here is going to be able to be transferred from one project to another to create that repeatable process. So in here, when I'm working on this, as I go back as that coordinator, once again, we can see others working on that test. I want to see what's going on in this test. I can't work on it though. Jesse's working on it. This ensures that everything that's done during coordination is going to be valuable and not rework when it goes out. Now, Armin, I've kind of went through some of the topics, but is there anything that I'm missing that you'd like for me to touch on before we go ahead and wrap up?
Not really. You covered the main ones, but I would just basically recap on basically what are the real values that are standing out Clash automation right now. This is what we have done in grouping, what we have done in Clash cloud coordination, etc. But that's what you have outlined. I think you covered all.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that the biggest thing about this is that we're, once again, going back to automating that labor and allowing the users to still have control. I want everyone to think about what Armin said about how many different tools it normally takes to do what we have shown here today. You need a coordination platform. You need an issue tracking platform. You need, a way to communicate. You need a Clash grouper. You potentially need some other tools in order to sort your data. One of the things that we haven't shown today, which will make it into a soon release, is the ability to automatically create level section views based on the intelligent model data. What we are trying to do is allow everyone to standardize, compact their tech stack in this space of coordination and collaboration. And we feel like that we have really incorporated this sort of hodgepodge of applications that have been needed to complete this into a very, very modern and affordable software.
Absolutely. And let me share my screen too. We'll go to the other parts of the presentation. All right. You want to go through this?
Absolutely. So here are some of the feedback that we've been getting during closed beta. Now, just so everyone knows, if you weren't in closed beta, we had about 90 companies worldwide representing, almost, 10 different regions of the world, one on every continent, working the way that they work, working within the confines of their environment. And here's the feedback that we got really across the globe. We've got Jason in here talking about a clash detection solution that works the way the industry does. Someone who has been always a big help to us in the way that we develop our product. Stating that the entire team will benefit. Revisto Plus is really here to create that stream of data through the project. We want to take BIM and VDC out of the broom closet and make it a viable way that a project should run. And Kyle at the Sydney Gateway Project, there is a direct many different software and time savings through the consistency of information. Okay.
Now we can hear, but you are cutting out.
Kyle points out the direct reduction in costs and time savings, consistency of information and flow of data. That transparent. We've got Ben at AECOM talking about the need for other software will be removed, as well as the hands-on nature and running a separate clash resolution process. 20% of the cost has been estimated to be removed from their budget using this process. And then we have North America over here being represented by McCarthy, another huge help in our innovation practices. And Kyle or Alex is stating that the ROI in the few man hours, prevented reworks, clashes identified, and quicker coordination is really resulting in the justification of the software itself. Not to mention the quality of life that all your employees will have by having a system that they like to use day in and day out. So for current users, you will have access to the product until December 14th. And through your sales staff, you can learn about any sort of benefits that come to our current users. Anybody that purchases during this time period will have access as well. And at the end of the year, companies will be able to make a decision. Do I want to go to Revisto Plus, or do I want to keep what I currently have? But we are far more than convinced that the best decision for everybody to take advantage of these new tools is definitely to give a strong look to Revisto Plus, and we do not think any of you will be disappointed. So another thing that we are offering is the consultative approach that we've always offered. We now have more implementation specialists than we ever have, represented in Canada, the United States, the UK, Switzerland, Australia, all over the planet. And we intend to provide that hands-on approach as we move forward. So if you're looking into a proof of concept about Revisto, get a hold of our sales team. They can direct you how we get into this. A proof of concept is an extremely low-cost option to test Revisto for a period of time. And if you get into a proof of concept during this period before December 14th, you will also gain access to Revisto Plus included in that. So once again,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead, Armin.
Oh, go ahead.
So here, really what I wanted to say before I hand it back off to Jameson and Armin is anything you've seen today, you can send it out. You can tag it, you can social media it. So Armin and Jameson, I'll mute myself and you can carry us out from here.
Yeah, I can only say thank you guys for, hanging over. We wanted to make not so long, but make it, underline only the bullet points, what we've been, working and what is live right now. It's a rock solid, release that we've done since last Thursday and announcing today. And go ahead and take it because, all the current users, they have an access to it. So all you have to do is just update to 5.7 version. And that will give you an access to Clash automation and all the enhancements we have done in the 5.7 release. And you have next 60 days to play around and make your flexible decision whether you would like to stay with Revisto Plus or with Revisto. And again, thank you very much. And we are so excited that we're sharing this with you, and hope you'll like it and you'll appreciate all what we've done. And I'm handing over to Jemison for the final notes.
Great, thank you, Armin and Brett. That was awesome. Just to remind everyone, there I put the additional information in the chat group for questions on demos, also the information for the social media post, as well as questions. If you send any additional questions in the chat or directly to the email, we will send out a link with all the answered questions from today. And please don't forget to post on social media, #ClashAutomation. And thank you again. Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you guys. And all your questions will be answered separately.
I already see a bunch that I'm going to get to today. So Thank you all.
Thank you all and have a great one. Bye.
Bye.